Record. And where's our AI companion? There we go. Okay. So Jody, share research.
It was already on the agenda.
No, I just put it there.
That was incredible because as soon as I pulled it up, it was there. Okay, well, if let's see what else is on the agenda so we can know how deep to get into that.
Yeah, reminder October Empathy Summit that you're speaking there. Just, kind of other things that we can talk after you talk about research, we can go into to
Okay,
kind of catch up on things.
do you want to talk about any of your stuff first or
No, I think research is good.
okay, well, this is all kind of trying to synthesize terminology from different disciplines because not only is the terminology for empathy confusing, but also the terminology for what we're empathizing with is confusing. And so I'm working on a project right now that is, oh, sorry, could you let me share my screen?
Hmm.
This project that I'm working on right now is really getting into what perspective means. Like if we're engaging in perspective taking, like what is perspective? And so, no further ado, I will share my screen and share with you what I've been coming up with. So, okay, I have this table that has a lot of different terms. So the terms, I'll just scroll through it so you can see the terms that I have here. Um, but
Opinion, attitude,
yeah.
conventional beliefs.
And then it spans other disciplines outside of psychology. So then we're getting into like political science. And then this one I haven't filled out yet, but it just keeps going and going and going.
Wow.
There's so many terms that overlap.
Hmm.
So here's the philosophical terms. I asked ChatGPT to help me to find terms that overlap from different disciplines. And this is one that I obviously don't know because I don't speak German, but maybe you can help me with that. So, but its definition that it gave was it's the original form of worldview. And
Hmm.
then this one is the way you view your life rather than the way you view the world around you. So I don't quite understand them yet, but I'm digging into it more. This is one I never heard of. It's from Latin American philosophy. It's like the way you view everything, including the cosmos and God and everything about reality.
Hmm.
Form of life. I'm not familiar with that one. Horizon, episteme, paradigm, mythos, social imagery, conceptual scheme, ontological framework. And then this one I think was in sociology. So I'm adding to it from these different disciplines. And my goal with this is to publish this in a journal and have it be like a one-stop shop, like for us to learn how to speak to each other about these concepts so that when we're using a certain term and somebody is using a different term, we can see where they overlap.
Hmm.
So this is where it gets really interesting. So I worked with ChatGPT to, let me see if I can find it. Um, oh, I had it up so that I would easily be able to get to it and show you. Sorry, just a second. It is in here. Okay, so I asked it to kind of help me organize the terms visually so that I can see like what is the most core central part of this and what is more peripheral. In the research that I've been doing, and also with this visualization, it kind of shows that opinion and attitude is just kind of like you're not really deeply emotionally connected to it. It's like, I like this certain soda over another. That's like an attitude, right? Like an opinion would be, well, I heard somebody talking about this. And if you ask me to form an opinion, this is going to be my opinion, right? So it's not really um, emotionally charged. But then when we get to these outer layers, and I actually wanted to, I asked it to reconceptualize it. Actually, let's do it. Because it was right before we got on that I was asking it to redraw it with the concentric circles being flipped from the way that it has it here, because it has surface level cognition at the center. And I'm like, well, if it's surface level, shouldn't it be at the surface? And so it's going to redevelop this for me.
So
So, but
it's
the idea,
different levels of sort of meaning, I guess,
yeah.
of the
So like
depth of
how
meaning.
core it is to
Hmm.
who you are as an individual, right? And so and if I had this image up, I actually created one of these even before I started working with ChatGPT to kind of put these in different levels. And I couldn't find it on my computer, but I'm going to show it to you the best I can on my phone because I took a picture. I know it's on my computer. I just don't remember where. But I created this. This is like
Hmm.
2 months ago that I created this
Okay.
as I was starting moving this.
Concentric circles.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not exactly concentric just because I couldn't fit all of the words in. That's the only reason it is like, they all come to a point here at the bottom.
Oh, hmm.
But the idea is, oh, how well can you see that?
I see it. I get
Okay.
that.
So the idea is you have things that are external to the person that are going to be influencing these different internal convictions and part of the identity of the individual. And so, for example, conventional attitude is like people in general around me kind of think this certain type of thing, like they generally have this attitude. And so I'm going to adopt it as one of my attitudes as well. Let's see, maybe we can see it better if we turn it this way.
Hmm.
And I'll try and make it brighter. Okay, so this is where it gets really juicy. It's still working on this. You can see it's still analyzing. I've been working a lot with ChatGPT, so it's probably slowing it down. It's like, please stop asking for such complicated stuff. Because like I'll show you some of the other stuff it's generated for me. It's pretty cool. So just imagine this. Yes, I will wait. Just imagine this like flip-flopped though. Okay. So like if I'm looking at a person, it's like I'm shaving off the layers of an onion, right? Oh, let's see what it says. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay, so systemic frameworks are going to be things that are external to the individual. Okay, so these different words kind of overlap with each other. They mean similar things in different disciplines. And then the surface level cognition is going to be influenced by what's happening on the outside, but it's kind of, easily sloughed off, right? People are willing to move on from those different things. But we get deeper into the core of the person, and then we get into these other words that are much more central to the individual. And this is where the overlap with empathy comes in, because what it's suggesting, and I need to do a lot more research on this because this is just ChatGPT suggesting this to me, that the type of empathy is going to change the deeper you get to the core of the individual. So, for example, you see that here on this surface level cognition, it's all green, which is all cognitive.
I'm not seeing any. Are you sharing something?
Oh,
I
yes.
see your table, but not.
Oh, okay. So this whole time I thought you were seeing what I was seeing. I'm sorry.
I just saw a table, but
Okay. So I'm like pointing to things on this
oh,
and
okay.
going
Oh,
really
there
deep
you
into
go.
it. I'm
Okay,
so
now I see
sorry.
it.
I didn't realize you
Mhm.
weren't looking at this. So you now see the concentric circles.
All right. Uh-huh.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, so you can see that some of these are labeled in green and some are labeled in red, right?
Hmm.
And so it's suggesting that, and we're going to need to dig into this as well because this is building on the cognitive affective model
Hmm.
of empathy. And it is suggesting that at these more surface levels, you're just going to engage in cognitive empathy, which is like, how did it describe it? Just basically trying to see the other person's perspective. But the deeper you get to the core of the individual, the more of the affective empathy will be necessary because the person is more emotionally connected to the things that are closer to the core
Hmm.
of them as an individual, which I think is super interesting for us to consider because I'm starting to wonder if it's on to something with that. Like I had not considered that they're like when we're talking about things like sacred values, have we've talked about that before, right? Have I talked
Not
about
that I
that with you?
remember. No.
Okay. So sacred values in the psychological literature, it's kind of synonymous with you're willing to do bad things in or hurt other people because your sacred value is more important than those other people. Oh, is this somebody that,
Not that I know of. We just ignore them. I don't know where they're.
okay. Why is it allowing me to admit them? I don't
I
get
gave
that.
you a co-host so that you
Oh,
could
okay.
share.
Okay. I get it. And so I think it's interesting to me that it's talking about the emotional connection with the individual. And as you're coming at it as the empathizer, the deeper you get to the core of the individual, like the more you're going to have to recognize that there is emotion attached to
Hmm.
what they're feeling.
Yeah, I get it.
And so I just have been working on this yesterday and today, and so I haven't really parsed out like why is it that worldview is close to the center, but it's not an emotional thing. Like why does it say that? And so this is all ChatGPT theory, and it's I don't know how much of it is based on actual research. So that's the part that I need to dig into. But I think it's something for us to just consider as we're talking about what it means to empathize with another person.
Hmm.
Like, is it at the surface level or is it something deeper that we're getting
Yeah,
at?
I get
So,
it. I mean, there's two thoughts that come to mind. Is one, I think in terms of common humanity, as as you sort of get to the core of someone, you just see there's a feeling of a sense of their humanity and how we have the same common humanity.
yeah.
So that's it. You
Yeah. So
just
that
see
would be
that.
right at the center, right?
Yeah, you just see, and so it's a felt experience. Like, oh, we're kind of, yeah, I can kind of feel it, and when I do empathic reflections, sometimes I'm reflecting back a deep, emotional, I mean, a deep feeling, a deep quality to them that kind of, so I can sense that. There's another model too that is um, from that Marshall Rosenberg from Nonviolent Communication has really kind of developed, and that's the feelings and needs.
Mm-hmm.
So at the core of that common humanity, people have different needs. So need for care, for love, maybe for empathy, for respect. So there's these core feelings. It's like sort of like when if you're hungry, that's a need for sustenance, right? So there's it's the same way someone might be angry in a situation because they have a need for respect or for care or something.
Right.
So you have sort of a surface uh, feeling, but it's pointing to something deeper, like a core. He calls it needs. I just say it's like a feeling that people desire. You might like fairness. Like if you're in a situation where you're excluded and you feel, oh, I feel angry about that because I have a need for fairness and inclusion, something like that. And that's sort of a deeper need that we sort of biologically, have these different needs. And so a big part of when I don't know how much you've looked into NVC, but
Yeah.
you try to reflect back the person's feeling, and you can reflect back the feeling that you think they might have that they haven't really articulated, but you can sort of sense, and then you can also make a guess about the need they have, and you can sort of sometimes just into it, and that and Rogers talked also about that you're sensing into someone's experience, and that you can reflect back even farther than they expressed, right? There's sort of the horizon of what they've sort of expressed, but you can sort of sense what's underneath it. And he just talks about being careful about not being too intrusive, about
Right.
reflecting back more than the person might be comfortable with, uh, uh, you know, having sort of shared something like that. So that's sort of a yeah, and then there's sort of a depth. I have a sense when I really connect with someone, there's like we almost go into a space of kind of see their soul or their common humanity kind of.
Yeah, I love that. And there was a book I was just reading the other day. It was about character development in sports, which is the other research I'm working on. But they had a whole chapter in this book about what is a belief, what is a value. And it's like very, very overlapping with my research here. It was pretty cool. But one thing that they said in that book was that values, which would be here at like the core
Mhm.
level, right? Let's see, where is value? I've got moral values here. Values is right here. So it's at this, not like at the absolute center of the individual, but it is pretty close, right? Those grow out of needs, like biological needs.
Mhm.
And so one thing that they posited in the book was that, for example, we have a biological need for sex, but a value that grows out of that need is we value love and caring and intimacy. So I think that's interesting that it seems like here at the core of the individual would be like just the biological needs. And these things kind of grow out from that. And they're influenced by the outside, but they're also influenced by these just very primal needs that we have as well.
Yeah, and
So
there's sort of when you're empathizing, sort of developing a sense of intimacy, sharing the deeper feelings and needs and you know common humanity. So I'm
yeah.
wondering what's your interest in this? You're trying to create a model, like what it seems like you're trying to create a model of a person and how when you empathize, what are you empathizing with? So the landscape of the person that you're empathizing with and kind of understanding that, is that?
Yeah, so the reason I started working on this project was because I have a theory, and I know I've told you this before, that I think a person is capable of really sticking to their own convictions and their own values and empathizing with another
Hmm.
person, like digging into the core of another person and maintaining their own core, right? Without
Hmm.
being subject to complete self other overlap,
Hmm.
right? So you can still maintain your sense of self and what matters to you. And so I wanted to get into what does that mean? Like, so
Hmm.
if I'm designing research where I'm asking people to stick to something, am I asking them to stick to an opinion, or is it a sacred value? Is it like something that's deeper to their core of their individual, or is it something that I just want them to be like stubborn? And obviously that's not helpful to be like,
Hmm.
well, if you like Pepsi and I like Coke, then we can't get along with each other. Right? Like that's just more surface level, right? And so I'm just trying to understand from that perspective, like what what kind of conviction am I hoping that people will stick to if I want them to also be open to other people's, like what actually matters within that. So I think a sense of self is important, but what is self? And so that's kind of
Hmm.
what I've been trying, like that's
Hmm.
why I've been digging into all of
Hmm.
this.
Well, with the sense of self, what comes to mind, I just think of the sort of the focusing process. That with focusing, you're sharing the felt experience that you have in your body. We did that with Greg. You and I. You seem to be
Mm-hmm.
really good and aware of that. And it's almost like there's the horizon with focusing. It's sort of like there's a horizon beyond which feelings are sort of emerging. They kind of
Mm-hmm.
come up into, at least that's how I kind of experience. For me, there's a 360-degree feeling space, around me. And it seems like into that space, feelings arise. And, if I share the feelings, I can be aware that different feelings arise within that space. And in different parts of the space. And they change and morph and maybe even disappear, or maybe an anxiety comes up and the anxiety is here and it comes up and it grows and then it melts away. So but it's almost it maybe almost like a horizon, and it's like there's beyond what I'm really sort of aware of, and something's going to come in. I don't even, where does it come from, or
Yeah, it's
like,
got to come from something deeper that you're not fully
yeah.
conscious of.
And
Is
that's
that what you
what.
mean by the horizon? Like it's
Yeah,
just beyond your conscious
beyond,
awareness?
yeah, it's beyond the conscious awareness, and something's going to kind of come into the awareness,
Hmm.
come into view, and it seems to come into view on its own, just by following the different feelings, and that's what focusing is about, is tools for sticking with that, what's at the edge of your consciousness, and kind of giving space for new feelings and senses to emerge. And that's what Gene Gendlin is saying, is the people who are successful in therapy, they're the ones that stay at the edge of that awareness, because that's where your growth and change and it happen.
Hmm. That's super interesting. Yeah, I think that's a really important part of empathizing. And it's interesting. Something that came to mind when you were talking about that, and it's kind of peripheral to what you were saying, but it just came to mind. I don't know what the connection was exactly, but when we're talking about the common definition of empathy being very much focused on emotions, if we're just like sensing into people's emotions, we're not getting at what's underneath the emotions either. Like it's just, it tends to be, emotions can be transient, and um I mean, they're messengers, right? They're telling us something. But if we're just focusing on emotional empathy, we're not getting into what is bringing that emotion in the other person. And so I think that
Yeah.
that's what you're talking about with focusing, kind of staying at the edge of that awareness. Would you say that the practice of focusing um is it both people who are kind of trying to push that horizon a little bit, like as they're engaged in the process, or is it more the individual that's like focusing on the peripheral or the horizon of
Yeah,
their
it's
awareness?
I think it's more the individual who's there, but having a reflection from someone helps you sort of articulate it and kind of let it go.
Hmm.
And I'm sure that the reflection is also how the person is reflecting, is also going to affect how the feelings change.
So then the question that comes up for me is the goal of for the person who's reflecting, is the goal for the individual, for the other individual to be able to understand themselves, or is there a dual goal of the empathizer also trying to understand what's um, on the other side of the horizon for the other individual? Because I think
Um,
it could be both. Does that question make sense?
yeah, it's well, it's like understanding seems to happen without effort, in a sense. Things kind of fall into place a bit like a puzzle, and you see different. It's like, oh, I see you're upset because this happened to you in your relationship, or you're tired, or whatever. The you start seeing a landscape. It's kind of like seeing a landscape. Different parts of the landscape sort of fit together, and the trees growing out of the ground, and the water is flowing, and you just kind of get a picture of the landscape, and that's sort of it seems to me that the empathy is the process, how we do the sensing into,
Yeah.
and understanding is just something that sort of happens from that. You just
That's a
can't
good
help.
point.
You can't help but empathy is often defined as the understanding, as the first thing that you're doing. But I think it's the process of sensing into, and how we sense into, and it's the quality of that sensing. We're sort of putting aside judgment. We're being present. We're being attentive. We're trying to reflect back as accurately as possible. I mean, that's just a tool.
Yeah. Okay.
The reflection kind of helps stay present. And
So reflecting back on what you're saying, I hadn't thought about this before. It seems like the goal is understanding the full, like getting the full picture of that landscape. And we maybe come into it with like some puzzle pieces. And when we're reflecting back, we're saying, hey, I see this part of the landscape. Tell me more
yeah,
about what's
mhm,
around that.
yeah,
Like what are the puzzle pieces that I'm missing? And so then understanding is the goal and empathy is the process.
yeah. Would empathy, understanding be the goal? It could be connection. Could be the intimacy, connection could be the goal. Like, hey,
And I wonder if
I'm here
sometimes the
with
goal
you.
would be, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it could be personal support too. I want to support you in, whatever struggles you have. I want to connect with you. I want to be, connecting at that at the common humanity sort of level, kind of connecting at a deeper level. So I think it's more than understanding. I think understanding is just a piece of it. So,
Hmm.
and there's also the personal growth. I do it for the personal growth and the
Okay.
enjoyment of personal.
Yeah.
It's fun to grow and connect with someone and to kind of be at that level of experience in life. Yeah, gives me meaning and sort of it gives a richness. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
richness, a quality of richness.
Well, it seems like the goal sometimes is selfless as well. I mean, there are personal benefits, and sometimes you set aside your personal benefit, and it's just like when we did the empathy circle a few weeks ago, you came into it because you wanted to help me,
Hmm.
right? And so your goal was to help me have self empathy and work through some things that I was struggling with.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so the goal of the empathy was for my understanding. Like
But
you
it's very
empathize.
rich to me. I enjoy it. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not like sacrificing myself. I'm enjoying hearing the landscape of what your struggles is, and I feel like I learn and grow from hearing what you're going through. So I
Huh,
don't
that's
see
pretty
like it.
cool.
I don't think, oh, I'm sacrificing myself. It's like, hey, this is enjoyable. This is fun. What can I learn? What depth of experience can I have? So it's going on your journey with you. It's like when you go on someone's journey, with them, it's like, hey, this is a fun trip.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how many people see it that way because I think all too often we're not willing to take that journey with another person because it's like, well, I don't know, is there anything in it for me? Right. And so you're a bit of a special case scenario because not everybody views empathy as an inherently like personally rewarding process,
Hmm.
like the
But I
research
think they
that we
would if
talked
they
about.
understood it. It's
Yeah.
like people get together and socialize, right? To go have a beer together, and they're sort of going and having, a beer or whatever, so that they can connect and socialize,
Mhm.
and just being in community is meaningful. In
Yeah,
fact,
I
I
agree
think
with
we're
that.
biologically wired, so this is like a way for deeper community.
Yeah. So that's, getting back to the core of needs. We have biological needs
Yeah.
for that.
Hmm.
And so we're like peeling away those layers of the onion to get to that core. That's interesting. I'm going to look back through the AI transcript of this later and like really keep thinking about what you've said. I think there's been some really good insights.
Yeah, and being able to describe that whole what's happening with the empathy, I think is really interesting, to be able to describe the landscape of what's happening, like you're kind of the levels and the depths. Some people will speak very intellectually about something, right? And you can reflect back. And for people, it's hard to reflect back that sometimes,
Hmm.
because it's just so abstract what
Mm-hmm.
they're saying. And I find it can be very difficult to reflect back because you have to really use your sort of logic and so forth to be able to reflect back. Whereas if somebody speaks something about some personal experience, it's like very easy to reflect back that. So there's how people share is going to affect, and some people might be very good at the mental, reflecting too, but most people are, I find, can reflect back a deep experience, like you're talking about, your feelings about, anxiety and so forth. That's kind of easy for most people to understand and
Yeah,
reflect
yeah,
back.
absolutely. Because that's common humanity again, right there.
Yeah. But even the intellectual, I think, has a felt experience to it,
Hmm.
and how to actually name that. When somebody's being very intellectual like that, it's still the quality of, there's still some kind of a quality of feeling to the way they're doing it. They
Right,
might,
right. So you don't have to be talking about emotions in order for it to be an emotional experience.
yeah. And I think we're always feeling something. So
Hmm.
whoever,
Yeah, that's really interesting. I also wanted to tell you about this back here.
okay.
I don't know how well you can see it. I'll walk over there.
Mhm.
I've been thinking about research, which is what I always think about. So, what if we did some research on the empathy circle?
That'd be great.
So, my thought is what I would love to do is, I mean, it's easier to do research with a, like for me at a university, like a BYU sample, right? Because I have easy access to these people. And they need to be part of different research studies to get credit for classes. So it's really easy to do that kind of thing. It would be really nice to tap into your worldwide community to get more of a broad understanding of like how the empathy circle affects people. However, everybody in your community is already familiar with the benefits of the empathy circle. So I don't know that it would be like a clean research study if it's like, well, these people have already done this. They've already seen that it benefits them. They already know that the goal is empathy. So if we're seeing, if our goal is to see if empathy improves in people in, so let's see, I'll walk up there so that I can get it up closer. So it would be two different conditions. There'd be the empathy circle, and then there would be just a conversation.
Hmm.
So, like, we can give them each group a similar topic to discuss. Is that backwards for you, or is it just
No,
on my?
it's the right side.
Okay, because to me it's backwards. So I just wanted to make sure it was right. And so my goal for what we would be measuring, did I write it up here? I guess I didn't. But the goal would be to see, are we actually seeing an improvement in people's empathy levels?
Hmm.
And so we would measure their empathy before and after. And obviously, my obvious expectation is that the empathy circle would help people to empathize more effectively. Whereas if we have just four people in a conversation, there may or may not be an improvement in empathy. Like if we don't prime them with here's how you do an empathy circle, this is how you work through this, like these are the specifics, then we just leave them to themselves. Like what comes out of that, right? They may see that there's like they've made some connections with people that they didn't know before. So they may actually have a little bit more self other overlap or whatever we would want to measure with it, but I don't think that a deep level of empathy and connection would come out of that.
Yeah,
I
you
think it
could
would be
you
much
could
deeper.
kind of spice it up a little bit with two Republicans and two Democrats,
I know,
or
that'd
something
be
like
so
that.
great.
You know, people with, you can just people of the same group, political group, people with different. So there's a lot of ways of kind of adding to that and see what the outcome is too.
Yeah.
And then if
And
you run it through like, the AI or like, the transcript, it tells you percentage of how much each person talked. So it'd be interesting to see how much does each person, speak.
oh, I would love that. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Because with your time limits, you're giving everybody equal time to talk. And I think that is so important in the empathy circle.
Yeah, I just was connected with someone who was a Microsoft developer, and he's developing some software. And I was talking to him about the online about the empathy circle. So I could just imagine some software tools. I don't know, something to kind of help
Facilitate it.
structure, facilitate
Hmm.
something. I don't know. Or even yeah, measure. Some I had couple of years, several years ago, there was a Microsoft developer for Skype, and he was interested in the empathy circles, and he was going to do a research project. Uh, and this was like pre-AI kind of stuff, but I think he was sort of attuned to what could be done, and he was interested in how is it? It was how you're sharing your feelings and maybe needs, and how accurate you are with being empathic, because there is a feedback loop, right? It's like I share, and then it's like the person reflects back, and I'm sort of checking how accurate they are in terms of their reflection. So there's sort of a feedback loop built in, and if you can sort of measure that somehow, like the accuracy, and then gather that information, uh, I think that could somehow be useful,
I know a guy who's an AI expert here at BYU, and he's helping me with my dissertation, actually.
Mm,
If I end up using AI for my dissertation, which I'm actually leaning away from that at this point. But I've met with him a few times, and he has done a lot of linguistic analyses
mm, mm,
of transcripts
mhm.
using AI. And he's able to like map everything out, like things like you're saying, like amount of time the one person speaks versus another, what types of words they use. Is it self-focused? Is it other focused? All of that kind of stuff. He's really good at that.
Oh yeah, because there's somebody they do analysis of how empathic the discussion is, and
Yeah.
so yeah, there's a lot that could be done within the context of an empathy circle, and even I could imagine that somehow you could be supporting someone in speaking more from their felt experience, have something that kind of helps you with that in some way. I don't know, but and then also your reflection. Maybe it kind of gives you a model reflection that you can kind of get some support,
Oh,
like
it's
how
like
to
a
reflect.
real-time sidebar assistant or
Yeah,
something.
how to reflect back. What are the feelings that this person might be having, and what's the need behind that, and
Yeah.
kind of
So this
just
is actually very similar to what that guy has done.
uh-huh.
So there's a project that he worked on with my mentor here at BYU. And that's actually how I got connected with him. And they were working on it was a text platform where it's like a mental health community, and they train everybody in the community to engage in empathic listening
Hmm.
with other people in the community. So if anybody goes on the platform, they can find somebody at any time who's willing to just have a chat conversation with them online about what they're struggling with. And so what the study was that they did was he implemented some AI prompting to help them know how to respond more empathically. So it seems like it would be
Wow.
easy to build on that
Yeah.
because it's right there on the platform. It's all text based, but if it could be like integrated with Zoom or something like that, that
Yeah.
would be super interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, you got the Zoom AI, and that's real time, for example, transcribing everything, I think.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
There really is.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of potential. And I mean, the thing that I keep coming back around to with the empathy circle is it's a it's obviously so effective, but we don't have any published
Yeah,
research
you'd be the
papers.
first,
Yeah, and that is like very low hanging fruit. It's so
Yeah.
much more low hanging fruit than any of the other things that I want to study because you already have an established practice. And this would just be a matter of like, let's see how effective it is. I think it would be very easy to do it.
Yeah, we were going to do a study with I can't remember, Allison from Green Bay University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and she started an empathy lab there, and then she was interested in doing a study of the empathy circle, and I did for doing this studies, you got to take all those tests. I don't know if you've taken those. You gotta
Sorry, what kind of test are we talking about? Like
to
through
do
the
a
university?
yes to do an academic study. You have to take this program and be
Oh,
tested
yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
it. I can't
Okay.
remember the name of it, but I did it. I did all that.
Like, because you were going to be an independent
I was
researcher.
I was gonna yeah I was gonna be part
Okay.
of the research, kind of helping with it. The thing is their study. She had all these questions, so it was going to be you're going to be constantly stopping and asking, doing evaluations, and
And
it
that
was way
changes it.
too
It's no
complicated.
longer,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's no longer an empathy
Mhm.
circle at that
No.
point. So I think the simplest way would be to do you've got measures. So just 10 minutes of pre-intervention measures and 10 minutes of
Yeah.
post-intervention
Mhm.
measures.
Yeah.
And so we're just looking at how was your connection? How was your empathy? How was your social cohesion? How much did you enjoy the interaction? Would you want to continue interacting with this person in the future? Like pretty basic things that are just reflective.
Mhm.
So yeah, we would definitely use like validated scales to look at empathy levels because that's the core of what we're looking at. Did they actually empathize with each other? And did their empathy level, like trait level empathy, increase through this practice of learning how to empathize?
Yeah.
And so I think it's very doable. I need to talk to my mentor about it and see if we have the resources to do this here, or if it would be something that maybe I could work with you and Greg on.
Hmm.
It'd be cool to have two different locations. If we were to use
Oh,
university
yeah.
see have like a group here and a group at, where's he at again? Somewhere in Southern California.
San Diego.
San Diego. Okay.
Say UC San Diego.
Well, I'm going to be actually meeting with him on Thursday because we wanted to talk about research. And so I'll bring it up and see if he would be interested in getting involved in a study.
Great. Yeah, we love. I've been trying to get him involved in more in this empathy circle practice. So that was really great. The circle we did with him.
Yeah, it really was. The only downside, and I know I mentioned this during the circle, is I just wanted to ask follow-up questions to what he was saying, and I just
Hmm.
felt like I didn't get a chance to connect as deeply as I wanted to with him, which is why we set up another meeting. So
Yeah, you can
we're going to be
always
chatting.
make a note of them, and then when it's your turn to speak, you can post them.
Yeah, and I need to do better about that in the empathy circles, taking notes when something comes to mind because I've already moved on to something else. Like if somebody else is talking about something
Oh,
different,
yeah, I
it sparks
forget.
something new.
Yeah.
And so that is a challenge for me.
But that's
Anyway,
even a question. I mean, that's a question. Is like, what is the difference between actively listening, empathically listening, and asking questions? Those are two phenomenon. And what's the dynamics and what are the outcomes of those two different pathways?
hmm.
I think is
So I wonder, would we want to study that within the same, like use a different framework as well? So we would have three groups rather than two over here. So we would have the control group that's no guidelines, the empathy circle, and then maybe a framework for asking follow-up questions. So maybe it's, I don't know how that would work in a group of four to
yeah, I
keep
was
it.
thinking, I wasn't thinking so much of a study, but of the questions, because we're looking at different phenomenon, right? There's what are the benefits of empathy versus, like, because I was very questioning like that myself. I was a big questioner. As I traveled, I always asking. It was my way of relating to people is to ask
Hmm,
a lot of questions, and it works. But there's
yeah.
also the empathy is another. I mean, the point about the empathy is it's giving space for the person to follow their own pathway, right? To share what's coming up for them. So they're sort of more in control of versus when you're asking questions, you're sort of guiding
Oh,
the
right.
pathway. So, it's going to have, it's more about you versus about supporting the speaker in,
Hmm. Yeah,
and it
that's a
can't,
really important perspective. Good point.
uh, so I didn't mean to add it to complicate the study, but
No, I was thinking about it already though. Like I was thinking about how would we study that phenomenon and how is it different? But I thought just for simplicity's sake, just having the experimental group and the control group makes it easier. And then
yeah.
maybe in future iterations of the study, we would include a different type of group that we're looking at.
Hmm.
Because I do think it is something worth studying because it is like you said, it's a different phenomenon completely.
Oh, another thing to look at is Tanya Singer. I don't know if you know, she's a researcher out of
I know
Max
you
Planck.
I know you've talked about her singer.
Yeah. Sure.
Um, let's see. And you said she's an empathy researcher, a German psychologist.
Yeah, let me put it. There's a link. To,
Okay.
so, she's a big researcher in Germany at the Max Planck Institute, and she was very much in what I'd call the compassion community.
Hmm.
Dalai Lama, all the there's a whole group of them, around compassion. She was doing empathy and compassion in Germany, and so they're studying a lot about meditation, right? The compassion community seems to be sort of focused on the meditation, qualities. But I've seen that her research in the last couple of years has gone into dyadic dialogue. So she did a lot of studies on people just connecting with each other, having a dialogue, and then measuring what effect that had on their well-being. So it's something a lot, it's in the direction. So she's kind of gone more into the direction of dialogic, the support, which is what we're looking at, right? Is empathy and dialogic, and so there might be some, seeing how she did her studies, and there might
Yeah.
be some insights for building using
Yeah,
those
that's really
insights.
interesting. I'll watch your video with her and see what she has to say about it. And I think it would be interesting to look into her work. Well, it's been almost an hour and we haven't gotten to the other things that you have on
Yeah,
the
let me just quickly go through
agenda.
this. So I had, yeah, share your research reminder, about the summit. I just want to share, I struggle with the workflow for documenting the writing and presentation because I love this dialogue, just talking, exploring it, thinking about it. And I have so much fun with it. But, I just wanted to share that it's hard work. Writing and creating a presentation is hard work. I'm just looking for any insights for better workflow, that's more of a fun workflow. So I thought I would
So in
just
terms of when we're meeting with each other,
no, in general, it's like I wrote 3 computer books and it just about killed me, years, 20 years ago. And
that
so it's
sounds
always writing's been
terrible.
sort of a struggle. I'm just looking for better ways of having a workflow to enjoy the writing, create. And I just wondered, I don't know how you do it. What's sort of your process?
I mean, one thing that they talk about all the time in academic circles is write every day.
Mm.
Like just get into the habit of writing, and it doesn't have to be good writing, but you just like have a set amount of time every day that you're going to sit down and write. You're always writing though. Like you're always putting stuff on the website. You're always
I
putting
am,
stuff
but
out
it's torture. So
there. Um,
yeah, I do, but I'm looking for getting better at it, so it's more fun. So yeah, I don't know what it takes, but I
hey,
just
nobody ever said it had to be fun.
oh,
Come on.
okay, it's work.
No, it's no, it should be fun. I mean, that's part of intrinsic motivation is if you find it intrinsically enjoyable.
Yeah, there's things I enjoy, and I'm very productive when I do it because I'm just enjoying it. But when I'm getting down to I got to do this presentation, I plod along, do it, try to go do something else, get back to it. I'm trying to just how to make it more fun because the dialogue is like, hey, I could just do this all day
Yeah,
long, you
same,
know.
same. No, I'm struggling with the same thing right now because I have now that my kids are in school and my school hasn't started yet. I have a good solid 2 weeks that I have long stretches of time that I can just write. So really like 5 hours a day that I should be writing. And it is torturing me.
Okay, you
So
too.
you're not alone on that. But it's it's helping me to get into that mode of like, okay, we're doing this. Like it is an everyday thing, and I want to get into the habit of it. But I was talking to Garrett Carden the other day about this, and he struggles with this as well, where it's like if I have this goal of just 30 minutes a day, I don't get deep enough into the project
Mhm.
to really have the deep thoughts that are required to make it good writing. And so he and I both are like, okay, it works best for us to have like um, marathon sessions of like, okay, this is my writing retreat. I'm going to do it for this weekend and I'm going to focus on it. And
Mhm.
even if it is torture for the first little bit, it's like running, right? Where like long distance running, it's torture for the first couple of miles, but then you get into a good rhythm and then you start to get that runner's high. I think we should coin the phrase rider's high.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a thing. Maybe it's not even a thing. Who knows? Of just getting into that zone of like, okay, the thoughts are actually coalescing, like they're starting to make sense, and I'm starting to actually get traction. So
Hmm.
I don't know if there's a right answer. Like a lot of people in academia say that the right answer is to do it every day. And like they're very vocal about that. But there are people who for whom that doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I thought I would just share it because it just helps relieve it, to ventilate it. It just kind of helps me, right? So it's not churning around. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. One thing that I've heard of some people doing, and I haven't done this yet, but I fully intend to do it at some point, is have an accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they even will like be on Zoom with each other, and they're not talking to each other. They're just writing. And then they have like after an hour, we'll have a conversation about what we've been working on. So
Yeah.
I wonder if at some point that could be helpful for both of us.
Yeah. It's Yeah, I don't know. The I have written something with Rosa. We wrote a chapter, but she ended up writing most of it, and I would review it. She was just, we did a chapter for on empathy circles for a book on empathy in museums.
Hmm.
So that was actually working together. Um, there's, I think there was something else I wanted to say, but oh, the deadlines. Having deadlines like the empathy summits or deadlines. So I got to get something together for that. So that seems to be something that sort of works is having
Yeah, it
those.
lights that fire under you.
Yeah, it's like so. So
Which
those
is
are things.
why if we
I don't know
were
if just
to, sorry, go ahead.
just writing together with someone. I don't know if that would really work for.
I think it would. I mean, we could, be sharing screen and both be working on the same document.
Oh, the same document. Yeah, so that could be a. Oh, I see. A share. I thought working on separate projects.
No, so actually that is what I was talking about. So like if
Oh,
I'm
okay.
working on my intrinsic motivation paper
Hmm.
that I have to write, you're
Right.
working on whatever, like preparing for the empathy summit, whatever it is, like the big project. So we're working on separate things, but at the same time, and we hold each other accountable.
Oh, okay.
And
Hmm.
another way we could do it is if we have a shared project,
Hmm.
we're working on it simultaneously.
Yeah, that could work.
I think both are really valuable.
Okay,
Again,
well,
I haven't
I'll
tried either, but
keep that in mind then. Yeah, as possibilities. I just go through. I don't know how much time you have. You're
I am flexible, but I also have some significant work to get done today
okay.
before actually I only have 2 hours to get it done. So I probably can't stay on much longer.
Okay, so the next number four is I'm focusing on the drama triangle and empathy circle presentation this week. So I want to get together, a more refined presentation and then record it. So that's actually some what I'm kind of focusing on. I just see the drama triangle and the empathy circle is a really good, starting point for addressing the criticisms, of
Yeah.
empathy, because there's many of those criticisms that can be put into the drama triangle. You got one model, and a lot of the criticisms could be addressed with with that framework, I think.
Yeah,
So
I
anyway,
agree.
that's
And I have to say, the more that you flesh this out, the more succinctly you're able to address those criticisms. And the more it's like just a very cohesive, easy to understand framework that you're
Mhm.
creating.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite thing that you've come up with is that drama triangle empathy circle. I think it's great.
Yeah, I could see how you even had stories that sort of fit into it. Yeah, I could see
Mhm.
how it fit in. You're saying, oh, you were applying it to your own experience and seeing how it fit into there. So that's what we want is for people to be able to do that. Say, oh, I had this experience and this is how it fits in. Yeah. So the other thing is what do you think of the terms empathy movement versus holistic empathy movement? So right now we have the Empathy Summit, which is on the empathy movement. So I'm just kind of checking with people um, because I want to focus our group, our empathy center, on the empathy movement, right? And then the definition is core to that. So we have the empathy movement. We've got a clear definition for it, and I'm sort of thinking of do we have, and then want to do a series of empathy summits, maybe 4 per year, on building the empathy movement. Uh, so I'm kind of just wanting to get people's feedback on. do you like empathy movement versus holistic empathy movement to sort of differentiate? And I have down here, I just did it on AI, asked AI, what it thought. I'm inclined towards the holistic empathy movement as a way of promoting the holistic empathy
Mhm.
definition model and sort of creating a newer, clearer movement. And so it has a bunch of pros and cons down here that you can see.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll read through those. I'm leaning toward the holistic empathy movement as well, just to differentiate it from any of the other versions of what people are saying are terrible things, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, if I am somebody who doesn't like the term empathy and I read online that there's this empathy movement, I'm like, but that's the stupid thing,
Yeah,
right? Because it's a bad thing. But
right.
putting holistic in front of it like piques my curiosity. Like,
Yeah, there's
how is
something
that
new
different?
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's something new, and they have to take a minute to slow down and understand what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Oh, great. That was my inclination too. But I'm just trying to get, see how it lands with other people. Yeah, if you have other thoughts about that, feel free to jot it down too, to sort of build the case for that. Because I'm going to meet with our board and see, hey, should we focus on the holistic empathy movement, see what they say.
Would you want me to just jot it down there on the website?
Yeah, you could jot it down.
Okay.
There's a whole area down here for that, the pros and cons. So
Oh, okay.
the next thing, I'm started promoting the holistic empathy definition model by talking with empathy expert dialogues. So I had interviewed Kevin Waldman, who had that. He's at Northwestern, I think. He studied. Turns out he's studying psychology, and he was the one that was against radical empathy, and he
Oh,
wants to
that's
have
right.
another dialogue. So he might be interested in the empathy. He's studying psychology too. I'm not sure at what level, master's or PhD. So anyway, I'm talking with him again next week. So I kind of bringing in the empathy, definition, holistic empathy is the framework, and also sent him the drama triangle
Hmm.
idea too. So then Greg, we've run it by him. Then there's Amber, so you can check. She's at
Oh, right. I started watching your video with her. She's
okay,
the one from Great Britain, right?
yeah,
Okay.
in the empathy in healthcare. There's a whole department there, so they're actually looking to hire a PhD student to study empathy and AI. So I saw that um, so they actually have money for that.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. So if you look up their Stony Brook Empathy Center is, but you can also find it through going to Amber's LinkedIn page.
Okay.
And then there's the Empathy Super Friends. So there's a group that I just sent an email and CC'd you to ask them if they'd add you to the list.
Oh,
And that's a whole group of people who have written books on empathy, and they meet, monthly to talk about empathy. They're more, I would say, practitioners. Uh, you know, uh, um, the main person there, Maria, she's written two books on empathy, and it's empathy in business is sort of her area.
ooh, that's interesting.
And so anyway, I sent you the email, and you can and ask them to add you to the list and some other stuff
Okay,
there
tell me
for you.
what keywords to look for, because when I search your name in my email, there are 1,000 emails that come up.
It would be Maria.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Oh, this was today. I don't know why I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be great.
So anyway, and then I'm asking that I mentioned the empathy rapid
Rapid response.
response. You could ask Greg about that too. It might be something we get a group.
Yeah,
It doesn't
I
even
really
we don't even
like it.
have to meet. We can have a Google group or something, and if you come across an article that we discuss it and come up with a quick response to why they're addressing their criticisms could be kind of
I
fun.
love it. I think it's going to be powerful. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
Mhm.
Like first responders.
First responders, exactly. Empathy first responders. That's a good title for the group, Empathy First Responders. And then there's also Claire York. She studies empathy in international politics and leadership and has a new book coming out. So you can click through her to her if you want. And so these are people that I'm thinking, looking at. So I'm going to interview her about her book once it comes out. But I'll be, promoting the holistic empathy and battling out whatever thinks she's into the act. I'm battling the affective cognitive
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's her background? Is it psychology or is it political science? Do you know?
What is she? Profile. Academic research specializing in empathy and emotions and political leadership.
That's interesting.
Center for Defense and National Security. So she's into national security, defense community, and politics and stuff. So I'm not sure if it's what her PhD is in. So.
Yeah, I'll definitely want to read some of her stuff because that's a whole different level because we're not talking about interpersonal empathy. It's like empathy for completely different ideology systems. We're talking about trying to understand different cultures, which is
Israel, Palestinian
right,
kind of
right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Okay, and then Anita, who you've met, and
Mhm.
Simon Baron Cohen. I'd like to have a discussion with him since he's one of the big researchers,
Yeah, that
etc.
would be
So,
interesting.
so it's anyway. He had tried interviewing him way back when he didn't want to be interviewed, but then he did speak at our Empathy Summit about his book. So um, I think maybe I can get him into
Yeah, maybe so.
his
Um,
definition is imaginative empathy. He's talking about cognitive empathy. Imaginative empathy was his what I would call imaginative empathy. So I don't.
so, any of these people that you think are people that I could meet, I would love to meet them.
Okay,
Like, just
great.
love to
Yeah.
get connected with everybody in this community.
Okay, great. I can. That's what I was trying to do with the Super Friends.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
think
whole
it's
group
it's a
there,
great
and I
idea.
can. It's just a matter of the time, how to meet, and how to schedule
I know
times
that's
and
the
stuff.
that's the tough part
Uh-huh.
because if in a perfect world where I had limitless resources and time and didn't need sleep, I would love to be on all of these calls that you have
Mhm.
with people and just like be a silent listener when you're recording. It would be
Yeah.
super interesting.
Well, we do have the recordings. You can always watch.
I know. And then and again, that would be in a perfect world, I would watch all of them. That's another research project that I would love to undertake is to go through and synthesize everything that you've learned from that, like all of those conversations with people, to look at their definitions, the criticisms, and all of that, and bring it together in something that's publishable in one place. I think it'd be really powerful because you have so much that you've put out on the internet. Like it would
Yeah,
be,
I've boiled it down to the what we're working on actually is sort of the core. It's like I almost don't even want to read any more books on empathy because it's
yeah,
like, oh my God, they're saying the same thing, and
over
it's
and over.
yeah, they're all it's a bubble, and I think it's like I think yeah, and I do and kind of shifting from that to here's holistic empathy, here's the empathy circle as a starting point. Like in the summits that we just had, people are talking about connecting the empathy circle to nonviolent communication, family therapy, internal family systems, work into focusing into um, uh, dynamic facilitation. So there's all these practitioners of all these other processes, and sort of connecting the empathy circle, which I see as a first step, and then it's an easy first step, and then you can go into all these other practices. And so anyway, they've been giving presentations, at the Empathy Summit.
Mm.
Um,
I would love to take the time to watch all of them. Just if I can get my brain to work faster, then
yeah,
I
well,
can
it's a
synthesize
lifetime.
everything faster.
Yeah. So anyway, just want to make the point of reaching out to empathy experts and testing the model. So far with Greg and Amber, I haven't had any pushback that it's. I think people will be they're so enamored, they're so entrenched with the cognitive affective model that it's almost like they can hear something different, but then they'll just revert back to it. Is my sense. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know what I mean. There's sort of
No, I know what you mean, where it's like, okay, we can like go out on this limb, but we're gonna like snap back into place.
exactly,
Like
yeah.
this is actually reality right here.
Actually, another person is Fritz, right? Out.
Hmm.
He's the one that wrote. They want to do an empathy. That would be something to do an empathy circle with him. If you wanted to do that at some point, he did the. Um, let's see, the dark side of empathy.
That's right. Which I have on my Audible now. I haven't listened to it yet, but if I have extra time ever,
I'd like to get him into an empathy circle if you wanted to take part in that.
I'd love to.
Okay. So that's him. And then, so if you have any ideas too for the drama triangle, like if you come across something that a criticism of empathy that you think fits into I'd love to have you kind of just
Oh,
share
okay.
it.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
take a little, few minutes and share how you think that criticism fits.
Okay.
And then we have the training too. Not that we're focusing
Oh,
on
yeah.
that,
By
but I
the
think,
way.
yeah, I can only do so much.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about that in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. I think we're setting a lot of stuff we're doing here will fit the whole presentations, that I'm working on that they will fit into a training, I think.
Yeah. And it's going to be just a matter of organizing things because it's not that the content isn't there. It's just a matter of putting it into a cohesive order.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I better go, but
Okay.
yeah, I will look at the criticisms this week and fit them into the drama triangle, and put my thoughts into the website there.
Okay.
Um,
Sounds good.
and I'll talk to my mentor about
Oh yeah.
what she thinks about actually getting some of this. Honestly, this could be my dissertation right here. Like it would,
Programmer, the AI person.
yeah, it'd be super interesting.
Yeah, that could be. I've been thinking about, oh, how do I get in contact with someone like that? Um, and then you've got a connection. It's really
Yeah.
good.
I mean, they did it with Baylor University. And it's a project that they've wrapped up now, but he's still working on a lot of empathic AI stuff with the BYU political science department. They're like using empathic AI to in a lot of different like political contexts. So it's pretty interesting.
I know one person. I'm trying to see if I can find this because this might be a connection for him. And she has there she is. Uh, Bryn Lord. She has a company actually that is, and she's also like in part of a therapy association, co-founder. Rocks. What is it? LinkedIn. Her company is empathic AI. So that's her
Oh wow.
company. So she's been doing this a while. So she must have really great contacts in the
Yeah, I'm sure.
empathy and AI field. And so she'd be a great.
Well, I know that Daryl Cameron is doing a lot of work with empathic AI right now as
I
well.
saw
So
that.
I could reach out to him and
All
ask
right. Yeah.
what
And
kinds
how
of
we can bring
has.
it into the empathy circle.
Yeah, that would be interesting. It's telling me that this is a suspicious link. Should I trust it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll blame you if I get a
Oh,
virus on my computer.
is it?
No, it looks
You mean
legit.
the empathic AI?
Yeah. I don't know why, but it's like it's just telling me it's suspicious. But I
Usually
will
it's
just
if they
went
don't
to it.
have SSL, but it looks like they have that secure socket layer, the HTTPS, S
Yeah.
for.
It's like when I went to it, there's nothing before. There's no www, there's no http, any of it. It's just empathic AI. Boom, that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, those are yeah. So for the A, so we got three different sources then for connecting with the AI community. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that we could get lots of people who would be interested in jumping in on that. I know Daryl Cameron was looking for a postdoc, like he has funding for a postdoc
Hmm.
student to do empathic AI research.
Mm.
So I'm sure that he already has the person secured because I he posted on LinkedIn like 8 months ago
Hmm.
or 6 months ago maybe, saying that the applications were open for that position. Um, and so I would imagine that whoever that person is who's in that position just focusing on empathic AI would be really interested in this kind of work.
Yeah, it's Stony Brook.
I'm not sure that that person would be like tech savvy enough to code,
Mm-hmm.
like to create empathic AI because he's Daryl is a psychologist, so they're just looking at the outputs that the AI is putting out and like studying it from that perspective. I don't know that they're on the side of creating it. So we would need like computer science people,
Hmm.
which is where my connection here, David Wingate,
Yeah.
would be a good person to talk to about that.
Okay, great. Yeah, that you have a programmer that's and then understands the dynamics and all
Yeah, but
that.
let's see, with your background, is that I don't know how different things are now, and I don't know exactly what type of you did programming, right, for your career?
No, I was more a system administrator,
Oh,
setting up networks, computer networks.
gotcha. So all of that is foreign to me. So I don't know how much overlap there would be with AI. Not enough. We would need
Not
like somebody
no,
who's,
they got to be knowledgeable about
yeah. My husband is really good at that kind of stuff, actually. He does AI, like he codes AI for his job.
oh, hmm.
But I don't know how much it would overlap with this kind of project. So yeah, my first thought is Dave Wingate would be the perfect person to talk to about it. But that is a conversation for another day.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, have a good week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.